This week I'm going to tell you a quick way to totally mess up your resume. Hi, Larry K here with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. This is an embarrassing one for me. I don't even know why I'm going to share this with you, except I want you to avoid the mistake that I made here. There's a couple of different explanations or definitions of what an expert is. One definition is someone who has spent 10,000 hours doing something. If you spent 10,000 hours doing it, that makes you an expert according to one definition, and there's a lot behind that, but that's kind of an interesting little thumbnail way to look at it. Just this straight up massive amount of experience doing it. Another definition of an expert is someone who's made all the mistakes there are to make in a very narrow field of study. And that's kind of an interesting definition as well. Whichever you choose, I qualify for both of them. I have the 10,000 plus hours in this industry, and I feel like I have made every mistake possible. Please learn from my mistakes, and this is one of them. Early on, when I worked, as many of you know, if you follow me for a while, I worked regular security doing what was called a canine patrol, which was a lot of fun. I love that. That was my first civilian job in security. But after a while, I wanted to do something else, something that, plain clothes, to be honest with you. I wanted to get out of wearing a uniform and driving around in a marked car and do something a little more covert, which eventually ended up leading to me becoming a private investigator. But as I went around looking for a job where I would be out of uniform, I kept applying for jobs. I would submit a cover letter and a resume, and on the cover letter I kept applying for plainclothes security, and that was the phrase, that was the term I used, plainclothes security. And I sent out quite a few resumes to big companies, places that I wanted to work, looking for this plainclothes work. I even remember contacting a mall and asking, do you have security guys that wear plain clothes around the mall? And this time, no idea about what this was actually called. And I'm sure you know by now. I like to think you know, but this is what I was looking for and didn't know was a loss prevention position or asset protection. In the old days, you might call them store detectives, that type of thing. That's the most common kind of security or security person who's wearing plain clothes, just dressed like everybody else, undercover, if you will. You blend in, you look like another shopper, so that you can move among the people, get close to the thieves, and grab them, lay hands on them if you have to, if they're not going to cooperate. I had a pretty good resume even at the time, but I had the wrong terminology. I didn't know the phrase to use, and it gave me away right away. I just was not getting any phone calls. I was not getting contacted by anybody for a job, because the first thing they'd see is, I don't know who this guy is, but he's an outsider. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't even know the job title that he's applying for. And I was just wasting my resumes, they just might as well be thrown away rather than sent out. The lesson for you here, I want you to avoid that mistake. By watching these videos, you are miles ahead of where I was, and you're learning the industry, you're learning the terminology, you're learning just a little thing like the phrase skip trace or skip tracer. That is someone who tracks down or looks for people who've skipped out on obligation. A lot of times you can refer to it as like a missing persons type thing. A lot of people don't know what skip trace means or what a skip tracer is. Just knowing these terminologies and learning them puts you more on the inside, puts you in a better position to get the job that you want. And if you want to go really deep and know a little bit more, a lot more about the job you're applying for. So for example, process serving. If you get my training course, the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Process Serving, you're going to know beginning to end, top to bottom, about process serving, even if you've never done it before. Now, some people like to get it, process servers, because they like the sneaky stuff in there, the tricks. Some guys get it because they're doing process serving, but they want to up their business, and there's some marketing things in there. But if you don't know this industry, you're trying to get into it, that's a great place to just learn all the phrases and terms and that type of thing. Now, the person that you're applying for a job with, your employer, may be very adamant, oh, we don't do this particular thing, or we don't do that particular thing. Uh, you know, they're perfectly legal. I only teach things that are legal. But different companies have different restrictions, but at least you know about them and you know about the industry from a real perspective. If you go into any job for private investigation, process serving, security work, loss prevention, and all you know is what you've seen on TV or what you've seen online, and don't even get me started. I got a video coming out soon. I'm a little riled up about some of the fakers that are out there online putting out bad information. And if it was just for entertainment purposes, I could let it go. But they're posing as if they're trying to teach, and they're teaching some really, really wrong stuff. That's for another day. Here's my key for you. Learn the terminology, learn the industry as best you can, so that when you do go out for positions that are available, that you appear like a reasonable, educated, knowledgeable person. Always keep an open mind when you go into these interviews. Try to listen to the person as much as you talk, or maybe even more if they'll let you get away with that, because you're going to learn what they want, and you can make sure you present that to them. This is Larry K with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.